I'll get my colleague.
Minister, you're aware that hospitals have a duty of care?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We all do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're also aware that certainly in medical matters that includes a duty to warn?
Yes.
I'm curious about the draft press release that's dated December the 24th that would have warned the broader community and especially any visitors who may have been immunocompromised thinking about RPA, that there was a risk from fungal infections.
No.
Why was that press release never released?
Okay, well, it's a fair and reasonable question. So let me just take you through that, and I'll also ask Ms Wilcox to further elaborate on the question as well to make sure the committee has maximum information. There was a decision made, often we prepare, and again, Ms Mitchell would know from being a minister, often statements are prepared by...
Minister, I'm aware that you weren't actually in the office on December 24th. Who made that decision?
Could I just get through, because it's an important one. I'm happy to give you more time. Often the agency prepares statements about a range of different issues. They don't necessarily get out the way that it was in the initial draft of that. The decision was made that the priority was informing patients, outpatients and staff.
Decision made by whom, Minister?
Just give me a moment. We had to balance that, not my decision. I didn't make a decision not to put it. So
who did make that decision, Minister?
So we had to balance the fact that we wanted to make sure staff were informed, patients were uninformed. That's a large number of people, but we didn't want to unnecessarily concern the community about a mould that exists in the environment, and I did not want, or Health did not want, that to be a concern for them going into one of the state's largest
Minister,
hospitals.
do you not know who made that decision to withhold that information from the public?
Thank you, Minister. It is convention that draft statements are prepared in the event they're needed. It would be fair to say that...
Thank you, Ms Wilcox. My question has been repeatedly, who made the decision not to release that draft statement?
So
do you know the answer to that, Ms Wilcox?
I do.
Who did make that decision?
We took the question around releasing a public statement around this to the expert advisory panel, which is chaired by Dr Chant, had a number of senior mycologists from Westmead Hospital, Clinical Excellence Commission, our own transplant clinicians and infectious diseases clinicians. These things, and Dr Chant's far better placed than myself possibly, but these things are always a balance. We had a situation that was completely under control.
Sorry, just to be clear, so it was that commission chaired by Dr Chant that made the decision not to release, is that right?
We took the question of should we release a public statement to the panel. The recommendation was on this occasion it was not necessary. The situation was under control. The air sampling had indicated the air was clear, and the patients and the outpatients and the clinical staff who were directly affected were absolutely aware of the situation. No, we didn't need to contact visitors because the air sampling had showed the hospital was clean.
When was that decision made? Was that on December 24th?
So perhaps it's probably important to say that the focus of the issue on the 24th, and there was rapidly changing information, the focus on the 24th was to make sure that all mitigants had been put in place. At that stage, the ward was still having patients, and there was a discussion about risk management of where those come.
I'm really grateful for all the discussion about process, but the question is, who made the decision? When was the decision made? And I understand, Dr Chant, you chaired a committee that made the decision.
So at that
when was that decision made, Dr Chant?
So at the time on the 24th of December, when the committee was meeting, the discussion about the communication and who needed to be told and what was the nature of the thing was discussed, and it was considered that because there was lots of evolving information, that the people that needed to be advised were the people on the transplant ward, progressively the patients that were, when the clinicians defined a look-back period, the rest of the clinical staff in terms of why we were air monitoring.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's the best answer I'm going to get, so thank you very much. So, Minister, there's a duty of care and a duty to warn, and the standard of care that duty requires is very clearly set out in the Clinical Excellence Commission Infection Prevention and Control Practice Handbook, which refers, of course, to the South East Sydney Local Health District procedures. You're aware of those that set as the standard by New South Wales Health for how these issues to do with infection control, especially with respect to Aspergillus, are dealt with?
I'm aware that we have strict infection control procedures and requirements as a part of the accreditation of hospitals, like other institutions, I'm assuming.
And those standards all talk about proactive measures that are taken, risk assessments that are taken, especially when there's any construction abutting transplant patients.
I don't have that document in front of me, but I'll take... You're a person who's reading it, so that's what I'll take it as.
And we heard this morning that the measures that were taken were after the deaths rather than proactively, and that deaths occurred. So we've got a duty of care and a duty to warn. We've got a clear standard of care that's a reasonable response to that duty. There are significant questions about whether that standard was met. Minister, what advice have you taken about the legal liability for negligence?
I haven't sought that advice at all. What my focus has been, and to be honest, what the two individuals, some of the finest public servants this state has ever had in Deb Wilcox and Dr. Kerry Chant and the team at RPA, as well as some of the best transplant clinicians, what they've been focused on is A, they picked up through clinical analysis a bit of an unusual trend. B, they then took that action, raised their concerns. We then took that as a system. Health took the subsequent action, what they did, and now we are having a look.
Minister,
and we're having a look at that and looking at that as a part of our investigation into those matters. So I haven't looked at the legal
Minister,
issues.
I'm asking you, I'm not contesting the excellent care given to patients in difficult circumstances. I'm not contesting the work done by Dr. Chant and her team or by Ms. Wilcox. What I'm asking you is, with the person who has overall responsibility for the system, who's meant to look at all the levers, who has the care of every patient in their responsibility, whether you made sure that the procedures of New South Wales Health were followed, whether you exercise responsibility, and whether negligence has occurred on your watch, negligence which has led to the death, sadly, of 2 people.
Point of order.
Well, that is a very, very,
The
very
Minister
big claim.
was responding essentially to that accusation because he was asked, have you taken legal advice in a particular context? He was in the course of responding to that, which is a very significant suggestion, and I would suggest he should be able to complete his answers without being interrupted with a barrage of further accusations.
Thank you. I'll go to the Minister to respond to that.
Ms. Carter, I'm not going to and would not ever preempt clinical review into when we have issues like this. I'm not going to do that, other than to continue to say that Health took all of the measures that it needed and felt was the best course of action at the time. If there are things as a part of the review that experts and Dr. Chant's team and transplant clinicians say to me, look, in the future we would do this, then I will transparently show that and highlight that, and I'm happy for people to look at that. But at the moment, I don't have that in front of me. What I have in front of me is a analysis of what the team did on the ground, doing what they thought was the very best pathway for these patients and the patients broadly in the hospital and the staff in the hospital. To be fair, I think it's reasonable for a minister to back them, given what they did and the time that they spent on it. This was not something that they just brushed aside at all. They informed patients, they informed staff, they informed outpatients. They took, based on their clinical expertise, a view about what needed to happen. Now, we've also taken the opportunity to have a look at this broadly, but I will wait to see what that review does, make it transparent in its nature. Importantly, before I do that, making sure that the community or the families involved have an opportunity to have their say as a part of that, and we'll be keeping them informed. I mean, that I think is the expectation of the community.
Minister, you'd be aware that New South Wales Health has a range of programs and services for children from 0 to 17 who've displayed or engaged in problematic or harmful sexual behaviours?
Yeah, I probably haven't had a direct interface with that, but I imagine it's in our sort of stronger communities and families type of support. But I'd probably need a little bit more information.
Okay. Safeways program is for children 0 to 10. Do you know what the waiting list is for that program?
No.
If you could take it on notice.
I can take it on notice.
Sure.
Yeah. Unless.
And
Sorry.
happy to get it later.
Yep.
And the New Street Services program is for children 10 to 17.
Yep.
Minister, one of New South Wales Health's own experts, Dr. Dale Tolliday, gave evidence to the Legislative Council's inquiry into the effects of harmful pornography last year, that children and young people under the age of 18 are responsible for at least half of the abuse on young children.
Yep.
So is it important that these programs are properly resourced?
Yeah, I think the exposure to pornography by young people, particularly young boys, is something that concerns me as a legislator, but it also concerns me as the dad of a teenager. This is a trend probably in recent times when the access to that type of violent sexual behaviour is a concern, I think. I'm going to say for all of us as legislators, but for the community. So, that remains a concern.
And we got clear evidence that this was one of the reasons for the rise in child-on-child, young person-on-child sexual assault.
It could be the case. I'm just not 100% sure of
that.
No.
But Dr. Tolliday indicated in his evidence that neither the Safeways program nor the New Street Services program, those programs that are specifically targeting children who exhibit problematic or harmful sexual behaviours, quote, can come close to meeting the demand for services at the moment. And he said further, quote, that waiting lists are not kept at those services. What are you doing to resource these services appropriately?
I just want to double check. This is a health program,
This is
not a FACS or communities.
New South Wales health programs.
Right. Okay.
And this is evidence given by somebody from New South Wales Health.
I take it.
Yep.
Let me take it on notice. If I can get it, as I will always try and do during the committee hearing or this afternoon, you'll have it, Ms. Carter. I just
Thank you.
Not aware of that specific program. But
okay.
But leave
there are two programs.
Safeways
for the under 10, and New Street for the 10 to 17.
Yeah. Apologies, I meant to.
In the committee's report,
Yep.
recommendations were made, one of which called on the government to adequately resource these programs. When the government's response to the committee's recommendations was received,
Yep.
it was essentially, New South Wales has this all under control and didn't flag the need for any extra resources. What exactly is your government doing to support young people with problematic and harmful sexual behaviours and, very importantly, drive down child-on-child sexual abuse?
Yeah. Elizabeth, do you want to make it?
Yes, thanks, Ms. Carter. That we will get some further information about the specifics of those programs.
And perhaps we can come back to that later this afternoon.
Yes,
that'd
but
be great, Ms.
I
Wood.
just would like to just say that
then.
we have actually New South Wales Health led the development of Children First 2022-2031.
Great. Perhaps I've got limited time with the Minister, Ms. Wood.
Sure.
We can talk later today, but thank you.
No problem.
Minister, eating. A service plan for people with eating disorders. Where are we with that? Will there be a new one that's prepared?
I'd have to take some advice on the
I can
currency
take
of
that, Ms. Carter. We're in the process of considering the evaluation and the next steps that need to occur for that work.
When will the evaluation be finalised?
I don't have a date, but we can certainly come back to that today.
And in the interim, who's responsible for managing services for people with eating disorders?
It continues as is, Ms. Carter.
On an LHD by LHD basis?
With statewide oversight, correct.
And who's responsible for the statewide oversight?
It sits within my division, but also within the mental health branch.
Thank you. I've got some more questions. We'll come
No
back
problem.
later today.
Ms. Carter,
Thank you
it's
very
largely led through the mental health service, so I'm happy to get back to you, but I just want to take some advice from Minister Jackson as well.
Sure.
So just
is there a separate mental health budget, or does it come out of the health budget?
But there's a mental health budget that's a part of the health budget that Minister Jackson ably manages, and I know this space falls within that broadly. So it's not that we won't get back to you, we will, but I just want to take some advice from Minister Jackson and her team as well.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Minister, do you think that there's ever any issues that arises with the mental health budget sitting inside the larger health budget, that there are so many competing priorities in mental health that something as important as eating disorders may have to fight for funding with other mental health needs?
Look, I think former Minister Taylor, and when she was the Mental Health Minister, and Minister Hazzard were, from all accounts, able to work through those priorities and challenges.
And are you confident you're doing that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I engage with Minister Jackson very, very frequently. She probably doesn't enjoy it as much, but
in terms of the need for provision for people with eating disorders, are you aware of the comparative death toll in Australia of people from road traffic accidents and people with eating disorders?
Not compared to that data set. I don't have that line of sight.
More people die of eating disorders than in road traffic accidents.
Yeah.
Yet, is the funding anywhere near comparable? Look, I'd be really happy if you'd take it on notice. I can tell you what the answer is. It's not.
Okay.
And
then you probably didn't need
it's
to ask
time
the
for
question.
action, I think,
Yeah,
Minister,
okay.
is what I'm suggesting. On another matter, Minister, you'll recall the testimony of Ms Ludford at the Budget Estimates hearing of the 2nd of December, and do you recall the letter that I wrote to you on the 4th of December in relation to that testimony?
I recently I've got some corro from you recently that I was reviewing.
It was sent on the 4th of December, Minister. I understand that you're busy.
Yeah,
No,
I recall it. Just give me the topic,
Okay.
and
Ms Ludford's testimony, conscientious objection. I
Yeah.
can give you a copy.
Yeah, no. I remember it, and
Great,
I've
thank you.
also had a chat to Mr. Donnelly about this. This is.
I'm pleased you spoke to Mr Donnelly. I'd
Yeah.
love a reply to my letter from you, Minister.
I know that, but let me tell you that that right remains. That's an important part of healthcare. We understand that. We expect our department to follow both employment law and follow the Abortion Law Reform Act. That's what I understand. I think a response either has been or is being sent to you, but no, I read your corro, Ms Cutter. Don't worry about that.
Thank you.
I just want you to know that.
In the letter, I invited you to communicate with the LHDs to make sure that they were not drafting employment descriptions or employment positions in such a way that anybody with a conscientious objection would be unable to apply for those positions.
Yeah.
Have you done that, Minister?
I'm not saying that I have personally done it, other than I just want to say this though about it, because it's just important for me, other than to say that my expectation is that they follow industrial and employment law, and then they're also in the delivery of their duties are following other legislation, including the abortion law amendments.
Yes.
It's I think that should be all of our expectation, but
Absolutely.
does anyone want to add? Fatima, sorry.
I can address that, Minister, thank you. We're in the process of reviewing the policy directive to ensure that we can provide advice to the districts about how to deal with these issues.
Sorry, which policy directives?
So we have a policy directive around conscientious objection,
Yes.
and we want to make sure that that aligns with the legislation, so we will be issuing some direction on that.
Is there any issue that the existing directive doesn't align with the legislation?
No, I think we just want to provide some clarity just to make sure that people are making the appropriate decisions, and as the Minister said, making sure that we're compliant.
So clarity
with
about what
compliance
issue
law.
exactly?
As the Minister indicated, we want to make sure that when people are writing position descriptions or advertising roles, that we're really clear about these issues.
So that they're really clear that it's illegal to discriminate on the basis of belief or conscience?
Yeah,
That's correct. We will reinforce those obligations in our
And that
communication.
Parliament was recently asked to reconsider the issue of conscientious objection in the Abortion Law Reform Act, and quite conclusively decided it did not wish to do that.
yeah, we aren't changing the conscientious objection component. It's an important part of that. We respect that, and what I'm saying to you, I'm trying to be as clear as possible. I expect CEs, when they're doing these positions, is to make sure that it is following legislation, and that legislation is both industrial/employment as well as the existing legislation about it. But we're doing a policy directive review that I have touched base with Mr. Donnelly on, and I just checked with my office, Ms. Carter. I think
just a note, Minister. Opposition, government. So it's lovely you're talking to Mr. Donnelly.
No, I just wanted to say, because I just hadn't finished, but I just wanted to say that I understand a response has gone out to you.
Lovely, thank
in
you.
relation to that CORA.
Thank you.
I wasn't being.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. The Shepherd Centre and NextSense, Minister, this was raised at the last budget estimates, and you'd be aware that it's wonderful when children get a cochlear implant. It can open the world to them, but they need to be taught how to use it, and that's where Shepherd Centre and NextSense come in. And about 750 New South Wales children look to that program every year, and they look to you for funding. Has there been a decision made yet about continued funding?
No, but I'm aware of the issue and I'm working through it. I've met with both of them. I think I also had a chat with, I'll stand corrected on this, former Prime Minister, Mr. Howard, who I think is involved in the Nexus, but I'll rely on others to tell me that. I think so I've had a discussion both within my own community with Shepherd Centre and broadly centrally. We're working through what I would call all of the budget priorities and issues to date. We haven't landed on a decision around that, but let me assure you that I'm cognizant of the work they do. The work they do is important. As Minister Mitchell know, in big portfolios there are big priorities everywhere. All of them are important. We've just got to make sure that we can deliver the very best possible services for the allocation of funds that the community provide the portfolio.
Are you aware that the government of Japan, so impressed by the work that NextSense and Shepherd Centre do, they reached out directly because they want the service that they provide for New South Wales to be offered in Japan, and they're funding them to offer them in Japan. Shouldn't New South Wales children have the same opportunities as Japanese children?
They have been having those opportunities, and I think from one of my discussions I actually recall that piece of information, though I'm doing, there's a lot of information in my head at the moment, so I'm just making sure that that is accurate. I do think there is I remember Shepherd Centre, I think it was, may have informed me around the work that they are doing with Japan, but we've also, as you know, Ms. Carter, got a world-class health system. It stands as test against any other health system in the world, and when we do comparators with our health system to other health systems, if you're going to be getting treated in a system, then New South Wales, well, it's by far and away the best in this country by the length of the strait, but it is one of the best in the world. Not perfect, a lot more work to do, a lot of improvements still to be made, but it is still a very strong, robust and effective health system.
Thank you,
broadly.
Minister.